from a simple object into a powerful tool for sophisticated calculations and understanding. We can all learn something from this. No matter how humble our background or what we've had to overcome, there is within us a great potential for greatness and meaning. Congressman Turner made sure his life meant something to his family, his friends, his community, and our great state. A life lived to the fullest potential, whose memory lives on here today, and whose legacy of service will forever be a part of Texas. Thank you.
Good day. We're glad to have you all here. Someone asked me to describe Sylvester, and so I put together, my wife Nadine and I, who we all were really close friends, we put together a list that we think typifies Sylvester. He was brilliant, savvy, informed, focused, well-read, was a great friend, loyal, passionate, and fair. Things, you know, we all knew, and all of us that served with him knew about Sylvester. He was an unparalleled debater. In fact, if he got on the mic, you need to stay in your seat, I can tell you that. He could command a room. When he walked in, he could get it to become quiet till he started talking. He always listens to both sides and then made his decision, which he had already made before he got there. He was my speaker pro tem when I was speaker, for the whole time I was speaker, and he did a great job. He was phenomenal on the local calendar. He could whip through it. People really wanted you to go sit down, me to sit down so he could move a lot faster than anybody else could. And he loved to hit the gavel hard. Even when things were really rough and tough, he always fiercely was loyal to the cause we were working on. It didn't matter which side he was on, because he could take either side on any issues, so it didn't make any difference. There's no one in this chamber who could advocate more for his constituency than Sylvester. I was honored to know him as a friend, a father, an elected official, an advocate, and we got to go to Africa together, which was one of the most fun trips we've ever had in our life. I've never laughed so hard in all my life. He was totally afraid of the animals, which Helen will tell you up here. And Beverly Woolley went with us, the Woolies went with us, and this trip was led by Sylvester and Helen. But anyway, when we were in a Jeep one day, and an elephant came up and was about to come into the Jeep with us. She was sitting on the seat next to her, and she said that Sylvester kept ooching over away from the window. I know Helen's laughing because she remembers it. And so he was in her lap over there on this other side of the Jeep. He was so afraid. Then a little while longer, we got in and we got stuck in a river in a Jeep, and he was in the back, and the hippopotamuses were there. And I'm going to tell you, I wish I had the recording that the Woolies taped Sylvester, because we could get the world's greatest tape on that thing. We could make a fortune. They've kept it all these years. It was hysterical. He called the man who was driving the Jeep at least his name 100 times, and then when we were stuck in this river. There's only one kind of thing that I definitely remember with that trip. He only ate one thing in 2 weeks. Is that what it was? Nano chicken. And every time we passed the chicken deal, we had to stop to get him chicken, because that's all he ate for 2 solid weeks. I spoke at an event for Sylvester when he was leaving the body, and when it was over, he walked up to me and he said, "I will never ask you to ever come to an event for me again or participate in an event with me, and for certainly not to speak for me." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "It was terrible what all you said." I said, "It was all true, Sylvester." He just laughed and walked off. So he offered me kind of a little bit of offering back because of it. He called me one day and he said, you know, I'm going to elect the mayor. And I said, I know you've told me about 10 times. And he said, I'm going to be sworn in. I'd like for you to come to the swearing in. He said, you can sit up with me. And he said, I'm going to repay you for what you've done for me. And I said, I don't know that I want to hear about this. But he said, here's the thing. He said, in the situation you made me the speaker pro tem, I'm going to make you the mayor pro tem if you just come to my swearing in. And I knew that there was something wrong with this offer when I heard that, and I declined real quickly. He's the only member that I've ever known in the years I've been in the legislature, which is a lot. Back goes back to my days of David Crockett when I served with him. But anyway, he was the only person I ever knew that had the same answer for every question, no matter what the question was. And he just rattled off the same speech. And it was fun and it was funny. And that speech was involved in an electric deal. Some of you there aren't many of you here that served with him, but it's about electricity. And I'm telling you, he gave that speech faster than anybody you've ever seen. One day he said to me, Tom, we were on state affairs together. He said, just vote for my bill and it'll come out at 5 to 4. And I said, Sylvester, your bill's terrible. I can't vote for it. And he said, all I want you to do is if you'll just vote for it, I'll get my chance to say my piece on the House floor. I says, your normal speech. He said, the same speech I've been making. Doesn't matter what like I said, what he was interested in. So I did, and the lobby was shocked. They said, well, you can't vote for that. And I said, he's not going to be able to pass it. Nobody will vote for it on the floor. Let's give him a chance. He came up, and he stood up to the end, and he said, now I've made my speech, and I don't want to pass it. And he just turned around and walked back to his seat. Anyway, he was one of a kind. He was great. He was a great friend. And he's the only person that I can say it was just a lot of fun. And people said, how did you see him that way? We always saw him preaching. Well, you just didn't know him, if that's how you remembered him. Texas and Houston are better off because of his public service. He leaves a lasting legacy. Thank you.
Sylvester Turner is gone far too soon. But he lived a full and purposeful life, and we're all better because he was here. Like many of us, Sylvester's journey was filled with challenges, with setbacks, and successes. He ran unsuccessfully for the Harris County Commissioner's Court, as well as for mayor of Houston twice. He said, Helen, I discovered it had to be God's timing, not mine. He said, God, when I ran those other races, just said, not now. Sylvester stayed the course and served with distinction as a member of this House, as mayor of the city of Houston, and most recently, U.S. Rep. District 18. What set Sylvester apart and what made him truly exceptional was his indomitable, unwavering spirit, his thought process and intellect, and his ability to inspire. He was a statesman whose very presence commanded attention and whose words carried both the weight of his wisdom and his conviction. If there is such a thing as superpower, Sylvester's was conviction. There was not a room too grand or too large, not a stage that was too large for Sylvester Turner. But at the same time, there was no person who was too small or too common to receive his undivided attention. He had a conversation with everyone he met. He was a devoted son to Ruby Turner, a doting father to Ashley, and a loving grandfather to Jameson, a faithful member of the Church Without Walls. He was the consummate community leader, and that's not just height. That's who Sylvester Turner was. But more than that, for me personally, he was the best friend I could have ever hoped for. We were desk mates and office suite mates down in the basement where I didn't want to go because it was dim. But he said, Helen, this is the best real estate in this building. We need these offices. And so we took them. For 24 years, we were partners in the legislature. And we had the opportunity to serve on 2 committees together for a portion of that time. He was my vice chair on appropriations, and I was his vice chair on state affairs. Many staffers, including Pam, called us Winnie and Nelson. Not only was he an able legislator, but he frequently spoke of the great honor to be one of only 150 people elected to serve in the House in a state with 30 million plus. He understood what a privilege that was, and he believed that that privilege came with a responsibility and an obligation, and he gave it his best shot. But the best memories for Representative Turner, you've already heard about it, was at that back mic. Staffers would frequently leave their offices when he stepped up to that back mic. Members would take their seats, and the always noisy house would be silent. Every member was listening, whether they agreed with him or not. He is recognized almost universally as one of the greatest orators the Texas House has ever known. With those reading glasses perched on his nose, his voice cracking, and sometimes tearing up, he fought fearlessly for those who had no voice. There isn't enough time to list all of his accomplishments, but let me highlight the African American Memorial Monument on the south lawn of the Capitol. That idea was originally Al Edwards, but when Al left, Sylvester was instrumental in ensuring that the African American Monument became a reality. The addition of this monument on our Capitol grounds is Black history, for sure, but it is equally Texas history, and Texas history would be incomplete without the contributions of those men and women depicted on that monument. Sylvester Turner was indeed in a class all by himself. The poem If by Rudyard Kipling is reminiscent of Turner. If you can walk with kings and never lose the common touch, if you can wait and not get tired of waiting, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat them both the same. Because of the example you set, Sylvester Turner, because of your dignity, your caring, your determination, even when the odds were against you, we will continue to push boundaries, to dream bigger, to reach further, and never settle for mediocrity. We will remember, Sylvester, that with courage and determination, you took your little boat out to where the big boats were. And because of the incredible life you lived, we are all better.
Like many of you, Sylvester Turner was my friend, my mentor, and my brother. He encouraged me and many others in our community to be leaders. And because of that, I'm a state senator. And he will go down in records to having state representatives. He's made lobbyists, city council members, and many others. He worked to empower the community until the moment he took his last breath. 27 years in the Texas legislature, where he was well known for his impressive oratory skills, particularly on behalf of those whose voices were often unheard. State Representative Sylvester Turner, Mayor Sylvester Turner, Congressman Sylvester Turner. His legacy is one of tireless advocacy for people he respected and fierce community to the justice and relentless drive to improve the lives of those in need. His deep understanding for challenges facing everyday Texans, particularly the unrepresented communities, was essential to his mission as a Texas State Representative, the City of Houston Mayor, and the City of Houston Congressman. Sylvester knew the importance of history, of knowing where he came from, and lived by the idea that was always to give back and to bringing someone up. The concept of, he's not heavy, he's my brother. He understood that his words and his passion and commitment would help all people, especially the least, the last, and the lost. When he spoke to you, you not only heard him, you felt his heart and his compassion. He was the definition of a true public servant. He exemplified the servant leadership. And I'm grateful to this day for the role he played in shaping my life, the city of Houston, the great state of Texas, and our nation and beyond. His presence will be missed, but his legacy will live on. Today, Texas has lost a political giant. His life will be chronicled in the history books of the state of Texas and the city of Houston. He's gone, but he won't be forgotten. And I take honor in the duty of being passed on to advocacy, the advocates of justice, equality, and equity. He may be gone, but his spirit will last in all of us forever. Farewell, my good brother.
Did you ever know you're our hero? You're everything we would like to be. We can fly higher than an eagle. You are the wind beneath our wings. If I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word or song, if I can show somebody that he is traveling wrong, then my living shall not be in vain. If I can do my duty as a Christian ought, if I can bring back beauty to a world upright, if I can love's message as the Master taught, then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain if I can just help just one somebody as I pass along, then my living, then my giving, then my living shall not be in vain. Good night, Sylvester.
Well, thank you, Dean Thompson and Speaker Burrows and all our speakers. I have a different role. So he is known as Congressman. He's known as Mayor. He's known as State Representative. But he's also known as Sylvester. Clyde Alexander, former state representative. Hope he's not mad I said Sylvester. Former state representative Clyde Alexander and I are his classmates. We came in 1989 to get this picture was taken in Houston after
I want to remind us, we're here to celebrate the life of the Congressman. People of faith, we know that the Lord is truly our shepherd. Today, let's celebrate the Congressman. Let's talk about his legacy in a way that we remember who he has been to all of us. So I want to remind everyone in this room, he has served in this house over 20 plus years. He was the mayor of a big city, that place called Houston. He became a congressman. So think about that. Someone who rose from the great city of Houston, attended high school in Houston, went to the university in Houston, and guess what? Earned his seat at Harvard, one of the great institutions. So let's celebrate our brother in a way that talks about his legacy, that we can remember his greatness, because I think that's so important for our children and our children's children to know. And think about our brother, born and raised in a time of transition. What is transition? Transition is during that time when African Americans could go on to college and seek a better life and seek excellence. And our brother did that. He has demonstrated true excellence through his public service. I stand before you today as the chair of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus, and we have members. Members, raise your hand. Of the Black Caucus here, as we celebrate our brother, who was a part of our infrastructure as we identify and know the needs of not just African Americans in Texas and the role that we play, but of all Texans. Now, I had the great honor and privilege to be in the presence of the Congressman. Now, I didn't know him like many of you because he wasn't in this house when I came. But I'll tell you this, he was a household word when I came here. His legacy has been strong. When people speak about the Congressman, and I ask, who is the man? Who's the person? Who's that leader? Guess what? They all smile and began to tell me the stories of the journey of how the Congressman walked with them, talked with them, shared with them, supported them in a way that made them even better. He was no doubt a man among men and a well-respected individual. His passion and the support for his fellow man transcended race, religion, age, economic status, or anything else. And the gleam in people's eyes told me that this man laid a legacy that truly will never be forgotten. When someone leaves a legacy, that tells you a lot about their character. Many of us hope we can leave a legacy that people remember the things that we've done, the things that we've shared, and the impact that we made. So this evening, this afternoon, we celebrate. Let's not mourn. He's had his time. God put his hand on his shoulder, and he said, son, you have served in this world, on this earth, and I need you now in mine, which is heaven. We salute you. We honor you. And as God has called your name, we respect that. We can all say, Congressman, job well done. And thank you for what you've done for us. And we will always remember you and how you've touched people. We, as the Black Caucus, will make sure your legacy lives on. I salute you, my brother. Goodbye. It is time to rest. Thank you so much.
I've been, I don't have anything written. I've been thinking about what to say for days now, and I'm still not sure. So let me just speak for myself and speak from the heart. Sylvester was many things to me and to my whole family. Sylvester was a great friend. He was an ally in every fight. When the Asian community said that we were under attack, that they were passing laws to take away our rights and to make us second class again, Sylvester did not have to wait for me to finish that sentence. He said, "I'm on board. What do we do?" Sylvester was my mentor. He was a mentor for a lot of people. You keep hearing that again and again and again. That's no lie. That's no joke. He wasn't a kingmaker. He was a leader maker. He found people that he believed in, and he raised them up. He pushed them forward. He gave them responsibilities. He made them work. He made them prove themselves. And he built leaders. Sylvester was my hero. Even before being in the legislature, I watched him work. I watched him fight. Being here, I was scared to talk to him for like the entire session. Like when I was here, because he was the vice chair of approps. He was the chair of our delegation, and he was the center of every conversation, every policy issue. Like, it was like watching magic, because we would all be huddled in a room saying, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? They're stripping this out of the budget. They're getting rid of this. They're killing this bill. And Sylvester would say, y'all hold on. And he would come back in like 2 hours and say, it's all taken care of. And we all just stopped and said, like, what? And he says, I took care of it. And we're like, which thing? It's all of it. And we're like, how? How did you do that? And he's like, I talked to him. I told them what we needed and what we wanted, and I talked to them until they gave it to us. It's magic. This is Sylvester's magic. But most importantly to me, Sylvester was my teacher. He was my professor. What I know about this place, I learned from him. He taught me patience. He taught me how to work with people who hate you and will do it and will share that hate to your face. He taught me how to take abuse and push it down, how to come out of a fight after being kicked in the face, and how to come out with a smile not because it didn't matter, but because you have to fake it to protect your community. Because your ego meant nothing when it comes to defending your people. And you will suffer any kind of indignity and insult to do it. He taught me that. He taught me how to speak. If you've ever heard me talk when I was first here and compare it to what I do now, people say, those are two completely different people. And for those of you that are in the know, you say, like, why does Gene talk like a black pastor sometimes? Because of Sylvester. Because I watched him speak year after year, and I watched the way people would react to him. I watched the way he got people's attention. I watched the way he built rapport. I watched the way he would work people up, and I watched the way the people would feel that energy and get up on their feet, and they would shout and they would scream, and he would work them into that frenzy and prove his point. And everybody sat down, knowing, looking around the room and saying, we're together. We share this dream. We share this hope. And it was Sylvester that united everyone. And I watched him do that, and I slowly, over the years, I didn't tell him this. I've been cribbing his notes and stealing his bits and listening to the way he would talk to people and the way he would describe things. And I would add that into and we'll practice it and work it in. And when people now tell me, hey, I liked your speech, I take that. I hate praise. I hate compliments. It's just me. But I take that and I say, that belongs to you, Sylvester. That praise is not praise for me. It is praise for you. In Chinese culture, we burn incense. We burn paper money. We burn things that represent things that are important, and we send them, that smoke, to heaven. I hope we continue, for all of us who he was a leader for, that he brought you up, that he mentored you, that he taught you, that he was your friend, that he advised you, and do all those things. When they praise you, I hope that is our smoke that actually goes up and is praise for Sylvester, is praise that reminds him and reminds the world of how much he was loved, how much he was cared for, and how many lives he saved, how many lives he improved, how much happiness and joy he brought to all of us. Let that be the most important thing that we remember. Send him praise through our own good work. And before I move on to the next person, originally Representative Wally was supposed to speak next, but unfortunately he's had a minor medical issue and he is in the hospital. Right now he's okay, and if it were not for the doctors like holding him down, he would be here, because Sylvester Turner was in a very important part of his life and his legacy and his family's lives. So he asked me to convey that to y'all and express how sorry he is for not being able to be here. But in this place is also our good friend and colleague who served with Sylvester, Joe Moody.
Made the mistake of asking Dean Thompson if she needed any help today. And she let me know about our good friend Armando Wally, so he's obviously in our thoughts and prayers, and I know he'll be okay. He's making his session ER visit. He usually does one per session, but he'll be okay. But I'm grateful for the opportunity. I probably can't speak about Sylvester like Armando Wally could, because their closeness is something that is beyond friendship. But I can tell you about one of the last times I saw Sylvester was at a big policy conference here in Austin. And there was dozens of things going on. Lots of noise, lots of talks, lots of discussions, and I was serving as a speaker on a panel about criminal justice and the corrections system. And it was a small room talking about these issues, and the normal people were there, the policy wonks, the nerds, the people that really get into the granular details about criminal justice system. And as we were having this conversation, I looked up to the back of the room, and Sylvester Turner was sitting there. And I was like, well, he must not have anything better to do. Must be waiting for the next panel to come. And after we were done, he found his way up to talk to me. And I said, well, it's good to see you. I said, what are you doing here? And he said, well, I came to check on you. He said, I think you're doing some good work, but I want to make sure that you're doing okay. And make sure that you know that we're here to help you if you need anything. That's the time and attention he would give to anyone. Some lowly representative from El Paso couldn't get further away on a map from Houston. He took the time because he wanted to check in and make sure I was okay. As I was thinking about what to say today, my mind took me to Isaiah chapter 58, verses 6 through 8. This rather is the fasting that I wish, releasing those bound unjustly, untying the thongs of the yoke, setting free the oppressed, breaking every yoke, sharing your bread with the hungry, sheltering the oppressed and the homeless, clothing the naked when you see them, and not turning your back on your own. Then your light shall break forth like the dawn, and your wound shall quickly be healed. Your vindication shall go before you, and the glory of the Lord shall be your rear guard. And there is no better example of a life that brought this passage into practice than our friend Sylvester Turner. He had a true north that he followed in an unwavering way. And he followed it each and every day. And that was to always look out for the least among us, to lift people up. He gave a voice, and as you all know, quite a powerful voice, to those that the places of power routinely dismiss. He centered those people in all of the work that he did. And he not only lifted people up, but he brought people together. Political stripes were of no concern to him. He rose to the highest positions of authority in this chamber. He served as Speaker pro tem under a Republican speaker. He served on appropriations. He served on calendars, all those things that we dream of when we become legislators. But no matter what title he achieved, he never lost sight of his true north. He used those positions not for himself, but to lift up the least among us. Senator Miles brought the abacus here, and every once in a while you'd see that abacus in Sylvester's hand. And part of it was for a little bit of humor, to bring people together, a little levity. But the message was really profound. In this building, we talk about billions and billions of dollars. We speak in grand terms. And the abacus was a way to simplify that conversation and say, you know what, the decisions we make here in the billions and the millions, those decisions can either help or hurt those who are struggling to make ends meet, those who are struggling to put food on their table. It was a simplification of his life's message, that we can't forget those. To Ashley and the family, we know this is a deep and profound loss for you and all those that loved Sylvester. We want you to know that we're here for you. We're here as you grieve your loss. We love you, and we're praying for the peace of God to come to you in these difficult days, months, and years ahead. What's more than that, though, we will make this commitment to you. We will take the lessons that Sylvester taught us and put them into practice this session and always, and keep his spirit alive on this floor. And even though his powerful voice will never reverberate in this chamber again, his heart, soul, and light will forever be felt. Thank you.
I close us with this prayer of faith. We trust that beyond absence, there is a presence. That beyond the pain, there can be healing. That beyond the brokenness, there can be wholeness. That beyond the anger, there may be peace. That beyond the hurting, there may be forgiveness. That beyond the silence, there may be the word. That beyond the word, there may be understanding. And that through understanding, there is love. Now to him who is able to keep you from stumbling and to present you before the presence, glorious presence without fault and with great joy. To the only God, our Savior, be glory, majesty, power, and authority through Jesus Christ our Lord, before all ages, now and forevermore. Amen.
E2 200 for those of you who will be able to join us. Thank you very much. And to the family, we extend our condolences to you again.